Good day, everyone, and welcome to Sparkles of Love Transmissions. Today is episode 32. My name is Ana-La-Rai, and my purpose with Sparkles of Love is to bring through the newest, most advanced, highly vibrational tools and processes for you and for everyone to help advance their awakening, to make it easier and faster for you. And Sparkles of Love helps people to sorry, something popped up on my screen. Uh, Helps them to get their next breakthrough and take them into the next level of spiritual mastery. Okay. So that's why I'm here. And I'm about sharing new information. And so some new information came through just in the last days, less than a week ago. And the guides asked me to share it. I talked a little bit about it on my recent YouTube, where I talked about the anchor of unworthiness. So today I want to talk about planetary anchors and what they are. I'm happy to answer your questions. This is new information for me. I don't know if other channels have been given this information, but it is new for me. And I want to share a little bit about it because this is what the guides are asking. So, first of all, the first time I heard about planetary anchors was maybe a year and a half ago, 2 years ago. And I was working on a client. And as we were doing some healing and I was looking at past lives with them, and we were looking at what some blockages were and what caused some of the issues they were having in this lifetime, and why their life was filled in that particular instance with shame. And this individual had felt shame all of their life. And and it was really hard to start to clear it. We kept trying and trying, and so finally the information came through that that particular person was actually an anchor, a human anchor for the energetics of shame on planet Earth. And what the guides shared at that time is there were, and I'm going to say, a minimum of 12 anchors around the planet. And they have shared with me this time too, it's a minimum of 12. I don't know at this point if it's more than 12. And right now, that's not important. And these anchors, humans who had experienced the emotion or the wound of, in this case, of shame, had agreed to be a planetary anchor to help hold that vibration on the planet, in the collective consciousness, in the earth grids, so that shame would be anchored here, so that many of us could have experiences of it. And I was kind of surprised by it, but it made a lot of sense. And back then, this client I was working with, once we found that out, we were able to release it. And she did her work and released that anchor of shame. And for her, I know it made a huge shift in her day to day life, just a huge shift in her day to day life. So that was all rather interesting. And then last week, when I was working with another client, as I shared in my last YouTube video, an anchor came up around the vibration of unworthiness. And so you can go back and listen to that YouTube. I think yeah, it was just last week. And so the guides came through separately with me later and said, okay, it's time to start sharing. We asked you to get this information out there and let people know that there are other planetary anchors and what they are and how they work. So we want people to know and understand this, because sometimes when you're doing your healing work or living your life, it feels like you can't get out of a situation. You can't get out of the struggle of a certain emotion or wound. And it might be because you're really tuned into that particular anchor and energy, or you yourself might be one of the people who is an anchor for that energy on the planet. And so I asked, if person A is an anchor for shame, and they die, what happens? Is the anchor gone? And they said, no, 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 another soul that comes in will come in that has agreed in advance to hold that. And most, okay, wait, they're telling me something here. Many, though not all, of those who are holding an anchor will do it in multiple lifetimes. So the person that was an anchor for shame, she had done that in multiple lifetimes. Okay. Now, they also share with me, let's see, this information coming in as I speak, that most, not all, but most of those souls or individuals or humans here on Earth that are carrying an anchor for a planetary anchor for the planet are also very advanced level souls. They have reached a level of mastery in their own energetics on the higher realms. They might not feel that experience here because they've agreed to this, because it's a big thing to take it on. And so, scattered throughout the planet, within the anchored into the collective consciousness and into the earth grids, are these anchors. And when I worked with this woman when I worked with Laura last week, my visual for me was like a chain with a boat anchor, a great big anchor into the earth, into the grids, into the collective consciousness. And that's just my visual. You may see it that way. Other people might see it differently, but it is this really strong energetic. And so what happens is with these 12 anchors is they become connected, right? So it becomes its own network, anchoring the energy, in this case of shame, 2 years ago, of shame, right? And so we released one of the 12 on shame. So the guides have shared that because the vibrations on planet Earth are changing so much, and they are, even though it doesn't always feel like it, the vibrations are going up, and more people in the collective are awakening and starting the process of remembering their own magnificence, that they're a being of love and light. And as all this is happening, there is more is being revealed about things like these anchors, or about things that have interfered with our own awakening. And you can see other YouTubes that I've done on those sorts of things. So we wanted to talk about these anchors and let you know what they are. So they gave me 13 different anchors. I don't know who holds them. I don't need to know. I don't know where they are. I just know they're here on the planet, and they help hold the collective consciousness of humanity and each of us as an individual in a negative emotion. Okay. Some of you aren't connected to these anymore. You've done your work in this or other lifetimes, and you've released yourself. Maybe it wasn't a wound you held this lifetime. Maybe you don't carry a lot of shame because it wasn't something that you were working on this lifetime, or that you've really done your work in another time and space. So you might not have resonated with shame, okay, which is great. So these particular anchors don't affect everyone individually, but they do affect the collective consciousness. Okay. And many of us will have experienced some of these in strong ways. So these are in no order. So I'm going to be reading them to you. Okay. So these are the first group of anchors. I don't know if there are more that were given to me. And one is guilt, the emotion of guilt. As I have named before, shame, shame. And as we discussed last week, unworthiness. So guilt, shame, and unworthiness. Fear, fear. Lack, distrust, grief. And I know we worked with that at one of an alchemy gatherings, where grief in the collective consciousness had petrified, and it was preventing people from healing from grief. Another planetary anchor is the vibration of being or feeling limited. Hatred, Polarity separation. So you can use either word, but they put a slash between them. So separation slash polarity is an anchor. Pain, physical pain is an anchor. Okay. Victimhood or lack of sovereignty. Again, they go hand in hand. People that are in victimhood and they don't own their sovereignty. And the final one, again, in no order, is abandonment, rejection, betrayal. And they kind of all go together. They're slightly different, but abandonment, rejection, and betrayal. So those of you with me today live and those of you listening later, you can put in the comments, how many of you have resonated this lifetime with at least one of those energies, like quite strongly? I know I have. Anybody else resonated with at least one of them at different times in your life? Yeah. So someone says, I have. Yes, three. I know I have, when I was younger, really resonated with some of those. Yeah. These are the powerful, what we refer to as negative emotions, or the lower vibrational emotions. Though these are the ones that keep you down, right? It's harder to move around energetically and spiritually when you are in victimhood, or when you are always feeling unworthy, or you are always in pain or grief, or you're in that space of polarity. Yeah, more than one. Someone said, yeah, I think most of us have probably. Um, and what's interesting is those that are actual anchors on the planet, and they would be all over the world. They're not all in one location. For each of these, it would pretty much their life, represent their life. So if I say, let's just say the anchor of distrust, their whole life in almost every aspect, they would feel distrust. They would feel it everywhere in all the aspects of their life. Okay. Now, because you resonate with any of these, doesn't mean you're an anchor. Okay. Just think about it. We have billions of people on planet Earth, and there's not that many of these that are actually anchors. So you don't have to go worrying about it. Um, but I think that it helps us understand sometimes when these are anchored into the collective consciousness, why it's hard sometimes to step out of some of these emotions, why it's hard to step out of shame, or why it's hard to not feel limited in the human form, or why it's hard to not feel rejected or betrayed when things happen in your life. So just remember that these are emotions and feelings that we have chosen to experience here on planet Earth. They were set up for the duality and polarity, for the souls coming here to have experiences of these. But what's happening now is, as the planetary vibration is increasing and we're moving closer and closer to the awakening and the higher vibrations, it is time for these networks of anchors that hold us down to be released, to come to light so we can see them and clear them. So the fact that we're starting to see them, I think, is great. And anyone out there that is a healer that's doing this work, you may see an anchor. Maybe, hopefully, this video helps you have a little bit of background information on it. But once they're ready, they can be released by the person who is holding it, and they can break their vows or their contracts that they had to be a planetary anchor for this particular. And when it's ready, then the anchor can actually be dissolved, and it starts to break the network, because now, instead of 12 holding, there's one is missing. So the network of the vibration becomes weakened. Right. And so I suspect, as I work with clients and as you are working with your clients, that we're going to start to see more of this happening, more of the anchors of these challenging emotions and vibrations will be released. All right. Does anybody have any questions on that? I was surprised, and the funny thing was, I had they gave it to me a few days ago, and I wrote it down because I channeled it. It just went boom, 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 and I couldn't find the list when I was going to do this video yesterday. When I was preparing for today, and I looked all over my office, my desk, my house, and I'm like, oh my god. So I sat down and I said, okay, bring them through again. And then I found later that I had put them on my phone. And so when I compared the list, they were all the same. So I think there was one that was different, but there was one extra. So it was really interesting to see that they really came through the same. And so wonderful that we are now in the process of releasing. It is. It's another sign that things are really happening, that things are shifting. It is a really good sign for planet Earth. So I hope that this gives you some good insight and helps you to work with your own emotions and what needs to be cleared. Of course, if you ever need help doing that, I offer transformation journeys, and they are a series of very deep sessions where we go in and really help you shift into something else, to release major issues and blockages that you just haven't been able to do on your own, to get a breakthrough. Okay. So, if there's one thing, you can look at a VIP day. And if there's a series of things, you might want to do a series of transformation journeys. They're intense, they really work, and you're going to have a lot of work to do on your own, energetic work, as we move through them. So, I would be happy to help you with that. All right. So next week, I want to let you know that I will be doing my YouTube is called "Do I Really Want to Find My Twin Flame?" So we're going to talk to about twin flames, and do we really want to find them? Oh, thank you. And someone says the one-on-one sessions are so amazing. I really like doing them too. And I love doing the VIP days and the transformation journeys because you know you have time to get to the depth of what you need for most people. All right. I hope you have a great day and a wonderful weekend. And those of you in our part of the world, I hope you have a happy Valentine's Day tomorrow. Happy Love Day. Bye, everybody.